I like books that have Norse mythology woven into them. And today we are going to talk about a book that is pretty smutty and it is fantasy and it has a lot of Norse mythos that is weaved within it. So we're going to talk about A Fate Inked in Blood. And if you saw one of my other videos, you might have seen me going off about stepmom porn. This book being stepmom porn, which it kind of is. So, did I enjoy it? I did. I did enjoy it. So the premise is there's this woman, Freya, and she's married to this horrible piece of crap named Vragi. And Vragi, I'm not sure I'm even saying that right. It could be Vragi. I don't know how to pronounce the name. He sucks, so his name doesn't matter. Anyways, crap bag has a drop of Njord's blood in him. And with that comes the power of the gods, where he can manipulate the creatures of the sea. But he uses that power so that no other fisherman can have fish, and only he brings in the fish to feed the village, but then he charges them like obnoxious pricing. Also, he's really horrible and abusive to Freya, and just a horrible human. He deserves everything he gets in this book. And so eventually, Freya has a secret that she doesn't think anyone knows outside of her family, and that secret is she's a shield maiden. She has a drop of Hlin's blood, and there unfortunately is this prophecy that a shield maiden will come and be forged in fire or something along those lines, and that whoever controls the shield maiden's fate will become king and unite the kingdoms of the land, da 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 da. So there's this Jarl named Snorri, and he comes into the village or wherever they are one day, and Freya's there. Somehow her horrible husband found out her secret and like sells her out and basically like gives her away to the Jarl. And the Jarl, with his greedy eyes, and that's because of this prophecy, takes her and marries her. Her and Vragi, they end, which is for the better in all honesty, because that guy, whatever. Basically, they give him a bunch of gold, and then, yeah. He basically sold her for money to this Jarl. So she has to marry him. She's going to be his second wife. He has a son named Bjorn by another woman who had died, and then his current wife has a son as well named Leif, who is 15. The current wife really wants her son to take the throne and be heir to the throne. Whatever's supposed to happen happens. But because Bjorn is there, that doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. She's thrown into this whole situation. And before having come into the Jarl's presence, she had been flinging fish back into the sea because her a-hole husband was like, "You need more work, woman. You don't do your job right." And, just being a POS. And so she's throwing fish, and she throws one and accidentally hits Bjorn in the face. So she met him before all this happened and was having, lewd thoughts and super attracted to this guy and like, wow, he's hot. But now she is marrying this dude's father, which makes her his stepmom. Obviously, she didn't want to marry this Jarl. She wanted to have her own fate and be in charge of her own self, but that was not to be. So it's not as gross as I thought it would initially be, because I was like, oh cool, she's marrying this dude, and then she falls for the stepson. Ew, stepmom porn. But the situation doesn't make it as gross. So anyway, this Jarl thinks he's gonna control the fates and unite the kingdoms, and she's like, how? All I can do is put a shield out. Like, how is that supposed to make people want to follow you and make you a king? The Jarl just interprets stuff however the heck he feels like it and just makes things up. And he's very selfish and greedy. But the thing too is that he really loves his first wife. He apologizes to her in private. It's like, this is an affront to us, da 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 da. So him and Freya never end up sleeping together, because he does truly love his wife. And then they swear this oath and blah, 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 blah. So they have an oath. So she never actually sleeps with him. So she just has, lusty thoughts about Bjorn all day. Because Bjorn, he's a child of the gods. He's touched by Tyr. Tyr's fire. And he's a fierce, handsome warrior. And there's a lot of smut in this. The smut is pretty decent. There's a couple parts that the writing, I was just like, there could have been like better words. Wording used, but Overall, I liked it quite a bit. I will definitely read the next book that's coming. Now the question is, how is she supposed to unite the kingdoms? Like, what happens? Because she literally wants to be with his son, and she's kind of with him, but not, you know, the king, because of their behind doors deals or whatever. And, you know, war is going to come to where they are because everyone wants a shield maiden, because whoever controls her, they could be possibly a king. So everyone's going to try to come after her or kill her or whatever. So it's just constant chaos, constant action. And, you know, when you're in that and death is all around, apparently, like, having your focus, you know, some lusty hot dude, you gotta, you know, death, sex, let's go. I liked the Norse mythology of it. I liked the story. It was fast paced, it was fun, the smut was good. I like the characters quite a bit. That, you know, obviously there's traitors and people who betray the kingdoms and whatnot, and it's interesting to see what happens. There's a weird kind of twist at the end of the book, and I will definitely be curious to see what happens in the future with this. This was a book of the month book, and as I've said before, most of the book of the month books I've read, I've really liked. And while I'm not a huge reader of the smut, I do from time to time read it, and this one was fun. Like I said, there was a few parts that I was like, but overall, it was a good time. So if you like smutty fantasy, Fate, Inks, and Blood might just be for you. And if you want to hear more about smutty fantasy, the next video coming up will be about that. So stick around, check it out. And if you had fun hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.